afternoon and happy Sunday. It's another day to be grateful to God, and we're glad to be back on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio. I'm your regular host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe, saying a very good afternoon to all our listeners, of course, our viewers out there. It's so good to be back. So good to know that you're doing well in spite of all the vicissitudes of life. It's good to know that you're keeping afloat, and we're grateful to God for life. We're grateful to Him for strength, for enablement. Oh, wow. Another amazing episode we've got here today. And I have amazing guests in the studios today. I'm not doing this alone, like I always say. And it's important that, we have that understanding, like I always say every time that we have an opportunity to be back here, that, as a lead counselor at Nurture Nest, I believe that in a world of unpalatable headlines, character is still the only currency that doesn't devalue. And, you want to look at that. My mission is to move beyond the surface. A lot of times we talk about the problems, but what we do right here on Character Matters is to reconstruct identities and audit the integrity of our institutions, of course, beginning with our individual lives. And so it's good to have you again on the show today. Like we have as a central theme, personal integrity and ethical living, looking at every aspect and facet of our lives. And we're saying to ourselves, if this nation will change, if the environment, the community will change, and the people who make up the community, who make up the nation are the ones who've really got to change. Yeah. Mindsets have to change. Sometimes mindset re-engineering, sometimes, a complete overhaul. And we're here today looking at, for our discussion and conversation today, contentment. And I'm not doing this alone. We're asking ourselves, is your ambition an asset or a liability in a society that is obsessed with the final results? We seem to have neglected the character of the process. And then from the dark desperation of ritual killings, internet fraud, to even the extreme risks of Russian roulette. And, people want to do anything, they don't mind whatever it is, the lifestyles, the surgical pursuit of a perfect image and all of that. People don't mind what it will cost them. And, they want to lay down all of those, at the altar of contentment. And so today, as I mentioned, I have amazing guests in the studios. I have Mrs. Taiwo. Let me unveil her. Mrs. Taiwo Olanrewaju Falegan. She's a teacher, proud teacher at that. I've seen a few of her videos going to public schools to say, yes, let's begin from here. And also a social worker. So good to have you on the show this afternoon. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yes, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, we call him the high performance catalyst, Dr. Alfred Adeniyi Atiba. So good to have you on Character Matters this afternoon. You are welcome.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much. Okay, so our listeners, don't touch the dial. We'll be back.
You're listening to Character Matters for Nation Building with your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe on World Radio 89.3 FM. this conversation shapes lives. Welcome back to Character Matters for Nation Building.
Thank you again and welcome back. It's still Character Matters for Nation Building on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred awesome radio. And I'm still your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe. We're taking a deep dive. I'm going right on to Dr. Atiba, because when you talk about high performance and people are looking at, when you talk about high performance and you're telling us, there's some elements of greed want to come in, some elements of, I'm not satisfied. So, but we're not just talking about crime. We're not talking about the void that crime tries to fill. Contentment isn't being lazy. It is not being lazy. It is being centered. It is being focused. So I'm asking you, Dr. Atiba, can you be high performance and content at the same time? Is that possible?
All right. Thank you very much again. It's all such a pleasure to be here. I'm glad to be here. So contentment is not the lack of ambition. Mm-hmm. It's not actually. Contentment is when I am grateful for where I am, but I still I have the mindset that, I still have somewhere to go to. Okay? I have the responsibility to keep on growing. Because, excuse me, whatever is not growing will die. Okay? So part of the characteristic of living things, we say Mr. Niger D.
Yeah.
So we've got to grow. It's part of it. So obviously, there's nothing wrong with growing. There's nothing wrong with ambition. High performance says, that, when I'm a high performance person, it means that, right where I am, I'm giving my best. Yes. I'm giving out my 100. I'm doing much more. I'm, contributing, creating value, adding to my environment. Doing much more. That's what that is. It's not greed. It's not me looking for how to, defraud people or how to steal from people or how to, no. It means that I'm looking for an opportunity to add much more value to my environment. So that's what it is. So that's a connection between, being contented, but you're highly driven. Yes.
Being content, but highly driven.
Yes, ma'am.
Having an understanding that life is in phases,
it's
like we
phases,
say, men are in sizes.
Exactly.
So I understand I'm only at a phase.
Yes.
I understand that I'm aspiring to be the best version of myself.
That's it.
Okay, I'm coming over to you, Mrs. Taiwo Falego. And the understanding that we have, especially when you're looking, I like the fact that you are a teacher, and I'm looking at it now from the perspective of the home setting, because we say charity begins from home. And then you're looking at how do we, at this phase of our lives, the realities that we're faced with, everybody wants everything done quick, nobody really wants to be patient. So how do you really begin to instill that value of contentment? Really, what is contentment to you? And how do you begin to instill that value in the home setting?
Okay, thank you so much, Ma. In the home setting, I think to instill value at home, we celebrate process instead of results.
Celebrate process.
Yeah, celebrating process. Look at for instance, I read the story of a lady who said she and her siblings don't have the same experience of parenting. And this is the reason. Our siblings, when they get to first position, they are celebrated big, like they celebrate their birthdays. But she has been putting so much effort, so much hard work, but at a point she managed to get to like third over the years, and she has been trying. When she told the parent, they were like, so? And so what? So does your sister who has been taking first position over the years, does she have two heads? So that kind of attitude from the parents broke the lady, and she was sharing on social media, and it got to me that, and this is what the mistake we have been repeating over and over again, even as teachers. We look at the score of the exam. Why not look at how this child has been putting hard work in other activities, in classrooms, in trying to answer questions, in respect, in neatness and every other thing. Look at like in social work, we talk about environment. Look at everything that the child encompasses, and then don't just sum up at the finish point, the process.
Okay, so pay attention to the process. And then it's also important for what you said. There are no two human beings that are the same.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And the level of growth, level of assimilation, understanding will also differ.
Yeah.
So you are not saying be lazy. You're teaching diligence. You're seeing that the child is diligent at what they're doing. And you're also able to, at some point, be able to recognize, is this child maybe perhaps having a challenge? Because sometimes the drive, the push, we talk about the pull factors and the push factors, because when you look at some of these things that push people into what you call the toxic greed, a lot of times it's that push that, you're not enough. You're not enough. You've not done enough. So you begin to recognize that this child is not lazy. Perhaps the child needs help in some regard. Perhaps the child needs some encouragement.
Can I
please.
say something about that? So my master's is in education, actually.
Okay.
And one of the things I recognize and I feel that the system is not celebrating is that we have different forms of intelligence. We have like 7 of them. And so there's nobody that's stupid. There's nobody that's foolish.
Absolutely.
Everybody has their own area where they're actually intelligent. For some people, it could be mathematics. For some people, it could be language. For some people, it could be music. For some people, it could be artistry, different levels of intelligence. And one of the things that I feel that I call them developing countries, I don't call them developed countries, because they are also developing. Is that they seem to always to recognize early, and they see those things in the children. Like, this child seems to be, seems to be like, okay, I think this child is good with dancing, ballet, sort of something. You still go to school, but they put emphasis on that. And then they start training the child for Olympics from 6 years old, from 4 years old. And that's how you see that those children become champions at an early age. Why? Because their talents, their skills, their intelligence are, recognized early. I think we should put, I really wish, but I see that some schools are now doing that. In this side of the
balance.
World. Yes, some schools are doing that. But generally, as a country, that's not what the public education is doing.
It's performance,
yes,
basically
it's
performance
basically
and competition driven.
Yeah. And that also is what is driving discontentment. Because, when I'm in a setting where I'm not celebrated for who I am, I'm not celebrated for what I can do, what I'm the best at, I want to copy somebody else. And I can do anything. Just like she was sharing that story. Those kids will grow up with a mindset of, I must do anything to get the attention of daddy or mommy. And then it goes beyond that. Now I want to get the attention of the society.
Let me just take you on that. Looking at the psychology of the shortcut.
All right.
That's in your work, what you do. I know you're a coach, you're a mentor. So why do you think people, because I really want us, like I said, this should be solution driven.
Okay.
The youth out there, more of the youth, and then they're becoming increasingly impatient.
Yeah.
And with the process, like Mrs. Faligon was talking about process, but they're becoming increasingly impatient with the process. So why has the quick fix, why has it become more attractive than what you would call sustainable growth? What do you think is responsible? Then what do you think will be solution, maybe across various, sectors?
From my experience, it's always been lack of clarity.
Lack of clarity.
The reason why a lot of people are trying to be who they're not, whether they're discontented, is because of lack of clarity. So the first thing I always do is to help people gain clarity about who they are.
Clarity about who you are as a person. To
let them understand that God does not play dice with human lives. and that everybody has something. Everybody has treasure. God has deposited something great, something huge in every one of us. Some people are just exceptional communicators. That's all they have.
Yeah.
But they hit with that. I mean, they become millionaires.
Like you.
You know, they become millionaires. That's what they're great at. You know, they're able to put words together, communicate, you know, pass on their thoughts. Some people can't even communicate with words, but they can communicate with their heart.
Absolutely.
And I've mentored a lot of people, honestly, and I have one of them who actually from Ibadan City makes money from Dubai, from the US, with his heart. He had to just discover himself.
So discovery of
That
your
clarity.
essence, your purpose
Yes,
as a person.
knowing exactly who you are. And once you start to understand and you start to know that I am not disadvantaged. I have something.
I have
an
not
edge.
disadvantaged.
I'm much
I have
more
an edge.
than I see. I'm much more than what the world sees. I'm even much more than some of my parents. Some parents even don't see it. But I'm much more than what my parents says I am.
Okay,
You
so
know.
how do we, before I go to Mrs.
Yes, ma'am.
Faligan,
Yes,
how do we now help? You know, you see all the issues about things that lead to internet fraud and ritualism, you know, that we have all over the place.
Yes.
And a lot of these people will talk about the background.
Yes.
Well, you know, we also say, don't let your background put your back on the ground.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I grew up in Mushin in Lagos.
Interesting.
There was a part of me that was discontent with that
The
environment,
environment,
that was healthy. So you can have a state of discontentment that is healthy, where you're looking at your environment and saying, no, I am not going to be conformed to what this environment is all about.
Yeah.
So there was something that I looked forward to, that I looked at the house where I grew up and I saw. In fact, there was nobody who had been to a higher institution.
Yes.
You know, you would have school dropouts, you would have teenagers getting pregnant. So there was, you know, some kind of, you know, discontentment, like, no, I'm not going to end this way. So how do we help the youth who feel, because they make that an excuse. So that's where I'm going. They say, oh, it's because I don't have anyone to help me. It's because the situation is like this. That's why I'm going into this negative, you know, venture. I'm going into this vice and all. What would be your advice, and how do we help those who are listening, who will possibly also listen to this later and they say, oh, not today, that's what they always say, you know, how it's not possible. No. So how do we help them? You've talked about that place of discovery.
Yes.
Discovery of your person,
Yes.
who you are and your essence. So what will come next? How do we help them? Like, you know, step by step.
Well, it
People
always
who,
starts with...
for instance, say they don't even have models around them.
Okay. So, well, it all starts with... So that's even the thing. That's even the thing. So I can relate with the issue of the discontentment of area. I say to people, real life story, here in Ibadan, I sold rat poison on the streets of Ibadan one time. You know, I mean, with my masters, I mean, that was all I could find to do. You know, and I just said to myself, well, if that's what I will do, then let me do it well. So I did my research, started researching about rats, mice. You know, I brought my book Intelligence into it, and I became so good at it that 4 years after I stopped selling rat poison, I was still receiving calls to supply. Yeah, you know, I feel, and from what I've seen, just like you said, discontentment is very fine. I wrote a book from rat poison sales to rat sales solution. You know, rat race solution. Sorry. And what
From
was
rat
it? Poison sales to rat race solution.
solution.
Yes, I wrote a book on that, and I was detailing my experience, how I transitioned from somebody who was selling that to providing solutions.
So that would be a solution. That those of us who've been through, you know, not so rosy experiences, we can share.
Yes.
We can let them know that,
Exactly.
you know, you
Exactly.
can move from
Exactly.
this level, from this point, without
Exactly.
going into rituals.
Exactly. That was
without going
exactly.
into
That's
the
exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly where I was going.
Absolutely.
That
Fantastic.
we need to start to detail our stories.
Our stories.
There are powers in
Detail
stories.
Our stories.
The power in stories, sharing our experiences and all that. We should not be shy. We should not be ashamed.
I mean, that's in the past.
It's in the past,
Yeah.
and a lot of people get better when they hear that, so person went through this, and is here now. We need to start sharing more of those stories. I go to schools, I talk to students, I go to places where people don't believe this, but my real goal is actually to reduce crime. The reason why I do what I do is to reduce crime. Because I believe that a crime-free future is a beautiful future. We can reduce crime if we can help more people succeed. If we can get them to the point of clarity and confidence.
The point of clarity, the point of confidence. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Let me go over to
that's right.
Mrs. Faligon, in the last couple of weeks, all over social media, BBL and all of that, coming from the place of lack of contentment. You see people who go the extremes of having to bleach their skin because they want to look a particular way, and you see teenagers, you see the youth becoming suicidal because they're not looking in a particular way because they've seen some images. How I really want us, you see those unpalatable results of what we call it societal decay. When did we start trading? How did we really get here? What are the factors? What are the things that have brought us here? That we're trading human sanctity and physical health for social status, because it's becoming more like, what I look like, what people would like, So
thank you so much, Ma. In social work, there's what we call environmental conditioning. And in today's world, our environment has conditioned us to the default setting, which is more. Everybody's looking for more. You see, a 22-year-old set up a business. Is okay having little profit, but once such a young person opens social media and starts seeing trends, people having many things and the likes, the little profit.
Do we go off social media completely?
Not
What's
really.
the solution? How do we maintain that balance?
That we have to. Each individual have to define what enough is for him or her. Like for instance, in schools we teach that for like BBL, we teach pupils that your body is your body is God's sanctuary, and you are enough, you are beautiful, you are this and that. But when the society has conditioned them to see their body as billboard, to see their body as something they have to advertise for validity,
because
so
really
that's where the problem is.
I think that's one of the things really pushing people to that extreme.
So
it's the attention for validation.
And one solution for that is if you follow a social media page that is influencing you badly, you unfollow. Like just unfollow them immediately, because it's the more you see, the more you are discontented with what you have, with your body, with your sources. So the more you see all those metrics on social media, so you just for your sanity's sake, just unfollow them.
And I think, thank you so much, Mrs. Faligon. Our people need to understand that there's a way that the social media is curated and created. The algorithms.
Yes.
Once you
search something,
it
keeps on bringing
more. It's just like a barrage of and the more that you focus on those things, we talk about the gateways into our lives. What you see, what you hear, what you pay attention to, with time they become your focus. And like we say, that as a man thinks in his heart. So when you're already thinking you're not enough, I have to do this to be like that person. Like we've talked about, there's a place of, what is healthy, the healthy boundary, where you're saying, I need to do more. If this person can do this, like we're saying to ourselves, we just talked about the Artemis 2, the Orion integrity and all of that, the travel to space, and we say, as a people, we're still struggling with what, but it inspires. I've seen a lot of write-ups, articles, and people say, we can do these things too. They don't have two heads. So there are those things that motivate us and inspire us in the direction of, positive, productivity and creativity that we need to begin to expose. Maybe the youth, our children too, from when they're young, begin to expose them to this thing. So we're looking at, I'm talking about solution. I really like what we're getting this afternoon. Now, we're looking, taking it a bit, beyond here. We're looking at religious institutions, the culture. If you've got it, you flaunt it. And, you see all that is being pushed out and placed in front of the people, the viewers, the listeners. What impact do you think is really having on the society or even the political class? Elections are coming. How do we help ourselves? Somebody say, I'm just going there and get my own share of the national cake. How do we help that people have the right attitude towards these things to be able to help our nation? Dr. Tiba.
Wow, this is huge and mind-provoking. It's thought-provoking. It's breaking my mind. I'm thinking quite a lot of things. What really comes to mind for me is the fact that I'm looking at the fact that a lot of... Okay, let me start from here. So I have a philosophy. My philosophy is build your life in private. Live for yourself, not for the public. And I teach that to all my mentees, to all my people. I tell them, I said, I love what the Igbo tribe does. You see an Igbo businessman, what does he do? Before you see him, back in the day, before you see him buy a Mercedes 190 back in the day, I mean, he's very rich. I mean, he's already a millionaire, multi-millionaire at that time. But even with his millions, you see him riding a bike. And there are stories that we grew up with of young Igbo boys that would play football on the pitch. And, one of them was sick and he was about to be rushed to the hospital. And the guy just said, please just pick my bike. They picked his bike. Only to discover that the nylon that the guy tied on his bike, there were millions in that nylon. That's how they live. In private. Nobody's showing anything off. You're not trying to, to contest with anybody. You're not trying to fight with anybody.
We're chasing clouds.
You're not chasing clouds. You're living for yourself. And then by the time you see those guys who don't even have a car or a bike, some of them are built in the villages. They have houses, mansions there. And I saw that. And I have some of them who are my friends. And I told myself, why don't I live a private life like that? Why do I have to come out and drive something because people want me to drive it? Show off because I want people to see me like that. And then I noticed something interesting also. I checked out the life of somebody like Mark Zuckerberg, the shirts and the jeans. He's a billionaire. Simple. Then I started researching, and it's called Anthony Robbins. Simple lifestyle. All of these big names. In fact, I realized something. I was checking something, the quality of life, and I saw that everybody eventually will come to that simplicity. At the peak, that's where we all resolve to. Everybody starts to dress simply, talk simply, behave simply. The higher you go, the more simple you become. And so it means that those people who are actually showing off, who are doing all those things, all these razzmatazz, means that they're not there. And that changed everything for me. And so I started telling people, which one do you want, prosperity or popularity? Choose one. And that philosophy, started transcending the conversations I was having with my people and also with myself. And I think that's what we should all start looking at. Which one do you want? Is it prosperity or popularity?
Or legacy.
And legacy is also part of prosperity. Because if you're truly prosperous, it's going to transcend your generation. Goes,
transgenerational.
A prosperous man leaves inheritance now for his children's children. Yeah. Because that's what he does. So I started even studying the Jews, and I saw that every decision they make, they're thinking of their fifth generation. That's what they're thinking. They're thinking, will this impact? Will this, impact positively the fifth generation that's coming? And that's how we should start thinking. Are we building something that's going to impact after we are gone? Drop something positive for the people that were. So these are the things we should start thinking about. Not just amassing paper money, which then we start discovering, they start finding houses that have money in them and nobody's claiming those houses. They start finding graveyards and there's money in there and nobody's claiming the graveyard.
So really beginning to expose, the vanity of life,
There's nothing.
And also ask the right question.
Like Solomon says, vanity upon
vanity. I mean, so
vanity.
How many rooms am I going to sleep in?
Just one.
How many wristwatches?
How many wristwatches? I mean,
if you had come here today now with 2 wristwatches,
how will I will look kind of weird. I've seen somebody do that as fashion, actually. Put on,
and it's said a lot of times that people who do that, there's something about their personality perception that they're dealing with. The struggling with that insecurity. That's the word.
Yes.
They're struggling with something and they're looking for an external
validation
to make them, it's what it does to them, the feeling that it does to them. And somebody's saying, oh, you look good, you look great, and So all of those, thank you so much, Dr. Atiba. I'm going to come back to you, Mrs. Falling, and looking at, I'm still very much concerned, the home setting, school setting, where lives are at the point where they're still being molded. And I want us to begin to look at it. How can parents, here we have our children, especially at some point they're exposed to social media. How do we begin to instill or inculcate godly values, like we say, godliness with contentment is great gain? How do you begin to teach that? How do we start to practice that as a people? So let's take it from the home, from the school, because what we're saying now is that let this be a revolution if we're really going to help ourselves.
I think the first thing is we need to first of all start asking the right questions. Like you see young one flaunt stuff and you're asking how much instead of how was it and how did you come about this? I've seen parents whose their children are using iPhone 17 and they are not questioning. They don't even know how much. They just see it and they are not asking the right questions. So as teachers, we need to start asking the right questions. Ask the students, ask the kids the right question. And one of the things I did with some kids in my area then was because I lived in an area where all these Yahoo guys were more, and they were having mentees. I'm talking about children of 12, 13, 14. So I took these children, up to like about 10 of them, and I made them have access to my home, and I started asking, we started rubbing minds together. And we analyzed. I said, okay, look at someone who has gone into this Yahoo stuff. Give that person 5 marks, 5 to 10 years. What do you think will be the end of this person? And they start, they will start thinking, they will start having this kind of madness. They don't sleep well
because
at night.
Still gotten wealth.
So those are the questions that parent needs to start so that they will be able to help them form a concrete decision on
How
this.
do we help the parents? Like we hear that we even have association
Of Yahoo mommy.
Yahoo mothers and
you
fathers.
know. So how do you help when the parents themselves do not
Are the
see
one
anything
pushing-
wrong? They're the ones pushing.
These
So
ones?
where do we begin to
I
change
think
the
we-
narratives?
We need to go out there to orientate
Reorientation.
the parent as well.
Like we're
Because-
doing here, and we're saying to people, I'm sorry to cut in, to say to every one of us, you know, in our various sectors, wherever we are, spheres of influences, and that we're beginning to speak to these things, you know, address these issues. Religious organizations do not bring the issue of wealth in the fore. You know, you talked about success.
Yes.
You talked about what makes a person, the value that they had to other lives. So when those are the things that you're pushing to the fore, how we're bringing solution, how we're adding values. Of course, when you add values, wealth will come to you. So when those are the things that we're pushing to the fore, and we begin to, you know, play down on some of these things that, you know, because in some instances you hear about people, you know, who are regarded or respected. Oh, they're the people who come with some kind of vehicles, who come and
They even
you
have
know,
the front seats.
the front, and they reserve seats, and so this person too wants to
be
you
like
know,
them.
like say I
And so
want
they
to
cut corners.
you know, hammer so I can buy.
you know, it's one of the things that I'm always saying. So, what do I really want? Do I want to be popular, or do I want to be prosperous? What kind of life do I want, really? You know, do I want to be
The
able
fame?
to travel? Yeah, do I want to be able to travel the world? Do I need to be on social media before I travel the world? I don't need that. I can travel the world. There are many people who are doing well, and they're not popular. They're having great lives, doing amazing
And
things.
we do not need to take all of this to social
media. We don't need that. We don't need that. There are a lot of things that happen. I mean, if you check my social media, you see what I want you to see. There are a lot of things that I do that I don't bring there. I mean, you know, because it's my life. Like I said, I prefer to live. I want to live. I don't need, you know, and that's one of the problems that because I've had some talks with some celebrities too. They're having challenges. Challenges because they have to maintain a certain lifestyle.
Fake lifestyle.
On
Fake.
social media, off social media, you know, cameras are going with them everywhere. So they have to, you know, so there's no privacy, nothing. It's not good enough, you know.
So it
you
puts
know,
there's a pressure.
Yes, there's a
that it
pressure.
mounts on
There's a pressure to deliver. And that is what's causing me a lot of issues. And that's where the suicides are coming from. That's where the mental health, you know, decline
Crisis,
is coming
yes.
from. That's where the mental crashes are coming from. And you see people saying things like, I can't cope anymore. That's what you see. That's the note you see. The last note you see, I can't cope anymore. And that's what happens. Then they're dead. Drink up something, or they jump off the bridge, or something happens, and check it out. Most of the people that happens to, in the eyes of the boys who are trying to look at them, they're successful. They have houses in VI, Banana Island, drive the best cars, but they're dying. Why? Because it's not about the money. It's something else.
Trying to impress.
You know, so that's part of what I'm always telling my people. Let's sit down. Let's create wealth.
Creates wealth.
Do you want to be rich or you want to be wealthy? Choose one. Your money can fizzle off, but can you create a life that can sustain the dream that you have for yourself?
Wow. I want to say at this point, you know, for the listener at home who's still struggling to pay bills, you know, while seeing others fake it online. You know, still I'm struggling. Is this person making it? Are they making
Exactly.
it? And they say things like, "Enti Obama bitegbe tinla o mashikirakitakuni," you know, things like that. What is really the clinical definition of enough in a world that always wants more? And we need to understand that, irrespective of how much you amass, there's a way that the world is created that it always wants more. There's always that, you know, insatiable. It's like an insatiable desire, you know, to always want more, you know, like the Bible will talk about, you know, some areas of life, like the earth, is one of those that always wants more, irrespective of the number of people that you bury right there, it takes more. So how do I help? We're talking about a home setting. We're talking about, you've identified that there's a need to speak, like Dr. Atiba said, and you also corroborated that, helping the children with a sense of perception of who they are, being able to identify the areas of strength and really emphasizing the areas of strength, helping them also to be able to look forward, to be able to aspire to what is healthy, that is wealth creation, that is sustainable. So we're looking at what is sustainable at this time now. We're not looking at something that just comes and fizzles out, which is what we see a lot. I mean, you hear of some names and before you know it, they're gone. Yeah. So the young ones, still looking at, we talk about the Gen Zs, and I say, who gave birth to the Gen Zs?
Gen Alpha.
Talking about Gen Alpha and all of that. So how do we really help? I really want us to now begin to, if we don't fix this hunger, it's an unhealthy one, craze, it's so we're talking with the youth these days, it's just like a craze, like it's just an unhealthy, aspiration to just want to get, and we talk about just get all you can all you get, and sit on the can. So, like you're talking about the fact that you even want to begin to think about, I'm getting these things. Am I using what I'm getting to benefit the lives of others? So how can we begin to help them have a reorientation? You talked about reorientation. So you've been to schools, you talk to them, you ask questions. What other things can we do that are creative, maybe creative ways that can help?
Okay, I think
so that we take the focus and attention away from the things that mount pressure.
One of the things I think is modeling. For instance, parents model the right character to the parent, to the children, and teachers as well. We model the right attitude to wealth, to success, to the students. And also one of the key things that we should instill in them is peaceful living. All of these things that is trending online and everything, it takes peace away from someone. And whatever you are doing that your soul is not at rest, you can't sleep at night, it's not worth it. So why pursue what you will end up not sleeping well at night, that will be giving you nightmare and everything. So peace is one of the tools for to look out for as the journey in their life. So modeling to them, for teachers to students, parents to the children.
And really helping the children. You see days where children go to school, even in the kind of vehicle that takes them to school, you see the struggle, like, this parent is coming in this kind of, I had a joke some time ago, and the father maybe drove the child to school on a bicycle and said, Papa, you always tell me that the person who is coming first, does he have two heads? To see that man that brought his child in that car, does he have two heads? You are coming, bringing me on a bicycle. But you see, start teaching the children, this is what I have.
And also create happiness with the little you have.
With what you have. With what you have, yes. So that the child goes to school and sees, and let them know there will be others around you who have more than you have. That what you have, this is what we have as a family. This is what we can afford to give you. The clothing, this is what we can afford. So let them wear it, dress well,
and be happy
look
with
good,
it.
and be happy, with it. So that when because the issue of comparison, like we talk about competition, comparison, and then looking at others like, they're better. Things like there's some words.
Yes. The attitude of gratitude changes things. Developing, inculcating in children the attitude of gratitude. So one of the things that I've done over the years is to let my children see people who are much less disadvantaged than they are. To see children who cannot eat what they are eating.
You take them out to orphanages.
Oh, yes.
Take them out to,
oh,
you know,
yes.
the
Appreciate
disadvantaged,
Yes. You
the
know,
underserved.
so that they see. And then we pack things, we go out together, I let them see. And I tell them, look at them. You're not better than them.
And then, yeah. They're
It's
just
just
privileged. Grace.
You know, that helped you. Your father, your mother, God helps them. That's why you are.
You are here.
Your quality of life is just way better than that, right? Because you're not different. You could have been them. And I show them that, and then we come back and I tell them, thank God, give God thanks. Open your mouth and say, thank you,
Thank you, God.
Jesus. Thank you
The
that I can
attitude of
eat this,
gratitude.
I can have this. You know, I can do this, I can do that. And then, you know, I show them, you know, and you know, because we have to let them get it.
Get this.
And you know, and one of the things that I do, and I don't hide this, is when something major happens, I tell them, I say, let's celebrate. Something huge just happened. Oh, we got the deal. This happened. I mean, they are my business partners as far as I'm concerned. You know,
So
you
they
guys-
actually see the
they are seeing
growth
the
yes,
process.
we're going through it
Process,
together.
process,
Yes,
process.
so we're passing through it together.
together.
You know, we're all seeing it. Oh, so when I buy something, this is where the money came from. I tell them, in fact, something happened. They were watching a video of somebody who was saying that he sent somebody to the bank to get 500,000 he have in his account, and that when he got there, you know, the person told him there's nothing there, and then he said the person, don't worry, check again, and then somebody credited with 585,000, and then, you know, and all that and everything, and then in that skit. That was a real life stuff, but then there was a skit attached to it. It was the heaven was shown, and then, you know, it was like Jesus was like, "They give me trumpet, I won't blow." And what's this now? And I told him, I said, "You know, God is not a magician. I said, money does not just pop. I said, that's what's happening all over now. That's exactly what people are doing. They're trying to out of the air. I said, no, you create value.
Create value.
That's how you get your money. So these are things that, you know, we need to start to show them. So I show them. I'm very open. I show them my accounts. I show them this is how the money came in. This is what I did to get the money. You know, she talked about modeling. You know, modeling. So I show them everything, so that yes, you can do what I'm doing
To win.
to get money.
Yeah.
You don't need to have a boyfriend to my girl child. You don't need to do Yahoo to my boy child. You don't need to steal. You don't need to take what does not belong to you. Just need to copy what daddy's doing.
And
Do what mommy is doing.
Once they have that imbibed in them, so when they get to places and positions where they need to lead, because it's part of the crisis you know, we're facing as a nation. You know, somebody gets a position of authority and they just, you know, it's like the greed, just amassing and just are not being concerned about the plight of other people. So we're also teaching empathy. You're teaching, you know, compassion for others. That even when you have opportunity, you're also thinking of other people, giving them and creating opportunities for them to be able to have as well. That you, just like you said, oh, you are here. It's grace, it's privilege. And then how do I help these other people to also get part of that privilege, get part of that, you know, benefit, you know, from that grace? I think if we all begin to think this way, it's really going to help us as a people. It's going to help us, you know, and we talk about this in the various sectors, like I always say. I mean, this thing is about influence. And it's, oh, it's a leader. I say, we are all leaders. You can influence from somewhere, from one position. What we're doing this afternoon is leadership, because we have the voice, we have the space, we have the opportunity and the privilege to be able to say this, you know, across the airwaves, and somebody's going to hear. Somebody's going to listen to these things. And also, we talked about the creative ways in some of the, I think, episodes where we're looking at the kind of movies, the kind of, you know, songs, you know, that we're pushing out there, songs that, you know, talk about contentment. Talk about process. And we're, like you said, modeling hard work, diligence, that you can get to this point without having to cut corners.
Yeah.
You know, something happened last year, and I think it's something that I think China had to make a move on, you know, having to ban some influencers from spreading some specific information because they're very particular about culture. You know, I think it's something that those of us that want to, you know, spread the positive news, we need to start to also influence intentionally, just like you're doing, ma'am. You know, I celebrate you.
Thank you.
You know,
So much.
we need to start to really reach out. We need to start to get on radio, get on TV, look for ways to propagate this, you know, in a way that it speaks much more than doing physical stuff. Because this is the problem. We're having people with the negative impacts, allowing them to have much more platforms. You know, and so if nobody's going to talk about it, nobody's using their platform, we're not using those and spreading this information, what happens is that the children will get the negative rather than the positive.
Wow. How fast time rolls. But I'm going to give you maybe 1 minute each to just wrap it up. Your final thoughts, Mrs. Falegon, your final thoughts. You know, you really want to look at this as somebody out there who needs to hear this. So I give you that opportunity to.
On a final note, I think we need to shift our mindsets. We're talking nation building, right? So we need to shift from making big boys to making big character boys. Like you see young ones who are big on character. I think that is lacking in our days now. So that's one of the things that we should shift mindsets from.
Absolutely.
Be big on character.
Be big on character. Be big on character. Your final thoughts, Dr. Atiba.
Kind of difficult, but let me just throw this out that one of the things that has helped me over the years is focusing on personal growth, investing on personal growth, making personal growth my goal, as opposed to pursuing the goal of being a billionaire, the goal of being number one here, number one there. Yeah, when we're younger, those things, you know, they drive us. But now I'm beginning to see that the more we focus on personal growth, growing our character, growing our philosophies into positive ones, growing our legacy, growing all the good things, what eventually happens is that we discover that not only will our lives get better, but the lives of the people around us begin to get better. Because we now become valuable people. And then we start to give out value. And then everything around us changes. The desert starts to become an oasis, and the oasis becomes a forest.
So it's not just about me.
No.
It's beyond me.
It's beyond us.
It's beyond us.
Yes,
and we're looking at the several lives that will benefit, that will derive from the value that we have built, you know, as a result of the fact that we've paid attention to personal growth. Wow, amazing. Wisdom nuggets, I must say. I must say. Thank you so much. As we close the nest today, you know, I say to people, because of the work that we do, and you have to counsel with a lot of people, do therapy, and you see there's a lot of character deficits, and you're saying, well, let's go back, you know, let's go back to the drawing board, you know, and we say a life that is built on the quick fix is just a house built on sand. So whether it's the lure of internet fraud, the darkness of rituals, or the surgical pursuit of a perfect image, if the soul is empty, no amount of more will ever be enough. I take that again. If the soul is empty, no amount of more will ever be enough. So what do? Fill your soul with good, with values. And from there, what proceeds from you is peace, like Mrs. Fadigan says. And like Dr. Atiba says that, yes, you have the ambition. But there's a way that you can balance it with a mindset from that personal growth when you have discovered clarity about your person, your purpose, and your pursuit. Wow. we will wrap it up here today. And know that our listeners have benefited, and this is going to be, is there on Facebook, is there on YouTube. I know the listeners and those who get to watch and to see this will really benefit greatly. Thank you so much, our high performance catalyst, Dr. Adeni Atiban. Thank you so much, Mrs. Taiwo Olariwaju Faligon. Thank you for making our time to be here today. We're so blessed to have you. You are gifts to our lives and to our generation. Thank you so much, Mr. Derele, our studio manager, and of course to the CEO, evangelist Lillian Bademosi. We are so grateful. Until we come your way again next week, it's still your host, Oluwatoyin Ogedengbe from Nurture Nest, saying bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.